Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the Semicolon Podcast. My name is Cantave, and it is a great pleasure to have you here joining me today on episode number 7 of the Semicolon Podcast, where we seek to answer one main question. And that question is, does the story continue or does it end? On today's episode, we are going to be discussing something that's very important, which is money. Money is extremely important. Money is usually a deal maker. Money is something that has led to wars, that has led to, even the breakup of friendships and families. But we're not going to look at it from a personal perspective, but as far as our economy is concerned, right? So if you watch the episode, Where is Our Money? On that episode, I spoke about the fact that there is such a need for proper stewardship and accountability and transparency where our public funds are concerned. But today we're going to look at it from the point of view of our economy, because as much as we have a whole lot of ideas, a whole lot of projects, and we have a desire to invest in education, invest in our roads, invest in infrastructure, invest in healthcare, invest in the arts and the sports, and so many things, none of that is possible without a thriving economy. And one of the things we're going to be looking at as far as the question of does it continue or does it end is a factor of St. Maarten's one pillar economy. So the perspective that basically we are eating off of a table with one leg. And as we witnessed with Hurricane Irma, and as we witnessed with the pandemic as well, when something knocks at that leg, then we are in essence left to be a nation of beggars. And that is so disappointing, and that is so unfortunate, and something that we can't afford to be. We have value, we have substance, we have great capabilities, and we have great resources. We may not have great resources in the form of oil and huge farmlands, but we have you. St. Maarten has you. And because St. Maarten has you, St. Maarten has value, because you have value. So what are we doing to cultivate the great resource that we have, which is our people, which is, the resources that we, in a sense, exploited to making St. Maarten a nation that it is today. And so I want to focus on discussing the factors that we need to consider as it relates to our economy and whether or not it is stable enough. Now, that answer is pretty much clear. But what do we need to do? What do we need to understand when it comes to moving forward? So before we get into all of that, I'm going to jump into a quick commercial break, but please stick around and stay tuned for much more. All right, folks, thank you for sticking with us, and be sure to check out the Bella Beach Hotel for all the awesome specials that they have going on right now. Trust me, it is going to be a summer of fun, and you don't want to miss out on it, and you can celebrate it and have a great time with the Bella Beach Hotel. So for today, is our economy stable enough? In essence, I'm asking a rhetorical question, but the main thing I want to get at is, are we prepared for the worst? So one of the things that I have realized, or one of the things that is happening right now, is that you're seeing a lot of candidate launches. You're seeing, political parties putting out their list of candidates and potential candidates, basically letting the island know that, hey, election is coming and I'm going to be knocking on your door for a vote. And all that is fine and dandy, but we are concerned about more than just someone's picture on a billboard. We're concerned about more than just flags and paraphernalia. We are concerned about the future of this island. The future of this island. And one of the things that is necessary to ensure that we have a future and a proper quality of life is our economy. Therefore, one of the things that is necessary is the plans, not just ideas, but the plans that our current and those who are vying for leadership have to be able to ensure that we have a future where we are not living on our knees, where we are not asking for handouts to be able to take care of ourselves and lead ourselves, because that is not the situation that we have right now. So for many years, over 50 years, St. Maarten has been thriving, or thrived, because we haven't been thriving much lately, but we thrived off of the tourism based economy, and that has put a lot of bread and butter on the tables of many persons. It helped many people develop wealth, and you name it. But it is not sustainable. Simply put, it is not sustainable. And again, we realized that when it came to Hurricane Irma, Hurricane Maria, and also the COVID-19 pandemic. So the question is, because we are eating off of a table with one leg, what exactly are we doing to reinforce that table, to add other pillars, to add other legs, so that if one of them is knocked, if one of them, becomes a bit wobbly, we can still be a little more secure in the fact that our plates, won't fall to the ground, and then we are left needing handouts or support from elsewhere. So I mentioned a part about the leaders or politicians, persons who are vying for leadership, who are vying for public office, because what St. Maarten went through for so many years was something similar to Aesop's fable of the ants and the grasshopper. So for many years, we just enjoy the fact that we relish in the fact that, our tourism economy was doing well. We boast about having dozens of nationalities, and we boast about having one of the best airports in the world, in the Caribbean, one of the best harbors in the Caribbean. But because of, again, the hurricane, and because of the pandemic as well, we noticed quite some delays, especially since up to now, the reconstruction of the airport is not yet complete, and that is a crying shame. Therefore, let's take a look at Aesop's fable about the ants and the grasshopper. I'm going to read. It's a very short story, so I'm going to read it out, and then we're going to get deeper into why St. Maarten cannot fully rely on this tourism-based economy. So Aesop's fable on the ants and the grasshopper goes like this. One bright day in late autumn, a family of ants were bustling about in the warm sunshine, drying out the grain they had stored up during the summer, when a starving grasshopper, his fiddle under his arm, came up and humbly begged for a bite to eat. "What?" cried the ants in surprise. "Haven't you stored anything away for the winter? What in the world were you doing all last summer?" "I didn't have time to store up any food," whined the grasshopper. "I was so busy making music. Before I knew it, the summer was gone." The ants shrugged their shoulders in disgust. "Making music, were you?" they cried. "Very well, now dance." And they turned their backs on the grasshopper and went with their work. So the point of this fable is simple. There's a time for work and there's a time to play. And right now, St. Maarten can't afford whatsoever to continue being grasshoppers, because unfortunately, for the many years that we, had this autonomous status, where we were responsible for, shaping our political destiny, we had more autonomy in governing ourselves. We poorly managed our time, and we definitely poorly managed our resources. We horribly manage our money. So again, we are at a position just like the grasshopper, where other nations, other countries, were developing their people, where they were investing in their nations. What were we busy doing? Playing mass, dancing around, throwing on governments. It's okay, let's, and then we just switching path. No, I want, one party will be like, you know what? How about you join us? So let me join you, and let's have a party. Let's have a ball. Let's have a ball. But guess what? We've had a ball. Your politicians have a ball, but you're balling now. You're balling now. St. Maarten is balling right now. It is. Because we were like grasshoppers. We were not like the ants. We were not diligent. And notice how the story mentioned the one grasshopper going to a family of ants. And so one of the things that we really need to consider is the need to re-establish and strengthen our communities, our ability to shoulder tough times, to challenge, to face challenges in life as one, as a unit, as a nation. But which of your leaders are out there ensuring that, they are building bonds, that they're strengthening this island with cords that cannot be broken? doing what is necessary to ensure that there's food for the future, for tomorrow, for winter. And why am I mentioning this? One of the things that is taking place right now is the fact that, not just right now, but one of the things that has been taking place for such a long time is our dependence on particularly American tourists. But if we look at America today, we can definitely see a nation that is in trouble. A nation that, if it does not pull up itself by the bootstraps, as they so love to preach, may very well crumble and may suffer, a fate that would take many years to transform. So we depend heavily on American tourists, and right now America is becoming so polarized, but also is going into an election season. And one of the things that we recognize as well is that a global recession is basically looming over the world. So people are going to start tightening their pockets, tightening their belts. And even, for example, with the recent news of the Supreme Court striking down President Biden's plan to cancel a certain amount of student loan debts that many Americans have, guess what? A lot of people who was counting on having that disposable income and maybe would have been like, yo, let's go to St. Martin's. Let's go to St. Martin's, as they so like to say. Let's go to St. Martin and have a great time. They might reconsider booking that flight. They might now more people may reconsider booking that cruise. But we depend primarily on them. So if their nation is going through a shake-up, and a shake-up that is going to make them start to cut down on spending, and we recognize already, again, this one-pillar economy, where we have other, let's say, neighbors. So we're in a community, the Caribbean, with many neighbors who also are vying for the same clients that we want. The competition is tight, and our investment, our storing up of goods, preparing for the future, preparing for winter, maybe was not as great as those other islands. Then what does that mean for St. Maarten? What does it mean? One of the reasons I'm bringing this topic forward is because I remember so clearly when the first time when I just came back home to the island, put on my suit and tie. I am a journalist and I want to go out and get information, inform people. And one of the ways I did that was by going to the Council of Ministers press briefing. And I remember one of the first questions I asked, that was back when President MP the Weaver was Minister of TIAT. Remember one of the first questions I asked was, what is our plan to basically diversify our economy and prepare St. Maarten for the future? Because we don't want to be in a position where, due to outside or global shocks, we end up being beggars. We end up being on our knees and end up in need of support from elsewhere. The answer was pretty interesting, because the minister at the time and our prime minister, both of them responded to the question. And in essence, the response was that, we have to get through the pandemic, and our focus is on rebuilding St. Maarten so that we can regain tourists, open up the country, etc., because we need money now, which is totally understandable. It makes total sense. You want to beef up what you already have so that you can gain some income, but with the intention that you would also work on your future plan, your future goals, to circumvent repeating the situation that we experience. But that is in essence the problem. And we are left asking, will this story continue or will it end? Because one of the things that was done was, during the pandemic, we were told that there was an economic work group that was put together. Basically, different business minds on the island, volunteered at the time, came together to create this plan, a plan which was even presented in Parliament, which we need to ask as well, is it even being implemented to boost St. Maarten's economy, to take us forward, and to help us to broaden our pillars and not be in a situation where, we are weakened because of whether it's a pandemic, whether it's because of a hurricane and so forth. So, sadly, although much zeal, zest, was brought forward at that time, where is it now? Where is the messaging? Where is the messaging that, that is being put out there right now to give us the reassurance that there is certainly a plan, projects being worked on to diversify our economy so that we're not solely dependent on tourism? Because as it relates to the economic development plan that was proposed to Parliament, I just want to read out one simple highlight, something that was mentioned that wasn't well favored by in Parliament, and basically has since gone dead. And the question is, why? Why? So what was mentioned by the minister at the time was that in part of basically revamping our economy, the proposal was to abolish profit and income tax and replace it with a very small tax on financial transactions instead, that would maintain revenues, broaden the tax base, as well as, and most importantly, make St. Maarten attractive to invest and do business in. The proposal will offer relief and encourage private sector-led innovation. So one of the things I mentioned in the episode, Where's Our Money? Please be sure to check that out if you haven't, was that it has always been rumored that our tax compliance rate is at 33%. And so by abolishing, also by restructuring our present tax system, the idea was that we would broaden the tax base, catch, the monies that we're not receiving right now, so that we have that government generates more income, that it has more revenue that can be used to improve your quality of life. And by doing so, we would have charted a course towards transforming our economy, towards making St. Maarten more business friendly. Because one of the main complaints that the business community has is that our profit tax is one of the highest in the world, not even just in the Caribbean or Eastern Caribbean. But guess what? Where is the plan? Where is it? Show me the money. Show me the plan. Show me the plan. Where is it? So what exactly are we counting on? When a politician comes to you and say, yeah, I have plan, we're gonna create jobs. Okay, what jobs? Because that's another factor. Are the only jobs you seeking to create are low level and low tier jobs? And not that, such jobs are not necessary, but what are we doing to raise the quality, the standard of St. Maarten people, the abilities of our people to be leaders, to be managers, to be directors, to ensure that we don't have a situation where, as that clip that went viral, where the leader of the country will basically, recommend persons to do courses online, Coursera or whatever have you, to be able to attain top positions in government-owned companies. But the only reason St. Maarten people are not the leaders, are not the managers and decision makers in certain companies is really because of political affiliation. Because I'm pretty sure when I comb through the list of some of the locals specifically that applied for certain jobs at different departments or different government-owned companies, you will find a qualified St. Maartener. But because of our foolish mode of thinking, our foolish way of leading, where we seek to annex somebody who does not support us politically, we're in the situation we're in today as a nation of beggars, having to be led by someone else. We have capacity, we have the ability to do so. How is it then that we have politicians, we have parliamentarians and ministers who barely have qualifications, barely have a bachelor's degree, being paid to lead this country, and especially when it comes to parliament, don't even show up to work. Don't even show up to work, folks. Grasshoppers, a bunch of grasshoppers. We need eagles. Bunch of grasshoppers. And so another thing that was mentioned earlier on in the pandemic as well was the whole factor of ensuring that we invest and develop businesses to be online. Great, fantastic. Let's boost our local entrepreneurship, entrepreneurial ventures, and encourage all our local businesses to go online, make money online, and thrive and do well. That sounds great. But what about the infrastructure, the ability, the removing the barriers to ensure that locals can actually thrive online, that St. Maarten based businesses can do well online? It sounds good during the pandemic to say, yeah, you could just build your website and promote your products, promote whatever you're doing and make money online. But what about receiving payments to do so, payments for your work? That is one of the greatest barriers we have. Now, I also want to mention that, well, finally, there is a new product, let's just put it like that. It's called CX Pay, which has this app called Send, which is in its testing phase or mode to basically allow for payments to be made locally, digitally. But while that is great and necessary, and it has the intention to be able to allow of persons to receive funds globally or from other nations and outside of St. Maarten, the reality is right now, one, the app is still in development, but two, at present, right now, to tell a St. Maarten based business, just build your business online and you will be able to receive, and then you can get paid for your work. If businesses if entrepreneurs, business people cannot efficiently or properly get paid online, you're just blowing wind up their behinds, basically. That is the reality. So what is the plan to restructure our economy? We're in a hurricane season, June. We already saw, some storms that already developed. God forbid that we are hit with a storm. God forbid we get another pandemic. But when it happens, and I say when, because God knows when it will happen, and it has happened, and it will happen. It's a reality we are faced with. What will we do? How will we eat? So, the thing that you will hear often, and one of the things I have to acknowledge, is that what we have going for us right now, to some degree, is the $550 million that was put up since 2017-18, to invest into reconstructing St. Maarten. So monies that were placed into building the airport, the hospital, which faced many delays. And one of the questions that we wonder, will this phenomenon continue or will it end? Which is the phenomenon of where exactly is that money? Like, do you really see that money being pumped into, making St. Maarten's economy strong? Nevertheless, we have that going on, those major projects. We have at least 2 hotels that shall be in their building phases coming up, and so with that, we're expecting a boost in our economy. But again, boost in our tourism economy. So we have that going on for us. What else we have going on for us? We have the, a good thing that we have going on, which is the entrepreneurial support program with the World Bank and NRPB, which basically provides grants to local businesses. We have credits as well, which came after Hurricane Irma, so that businesses can get low interest loans. And so we have some of these things happening, but to what end? And what are we doing to ensure that we are building another stream? Because even tourism itself can be diversified, but we want, for example, luxury tourists and travelers, but do we offer the needs to that market? Not necessarily. We know that they come here and go straight to St. Maarten and Anguilla, and even St. Kitts picks up on some of them. So we need leaders with vision, and I hope you're understanding where I'm appreciate, understand where I'm coming from. That we can't tolerate or accept the mediocre. We need better, folks. We need better. And I just remember one more project that was recently announced. The Port St. Maarten, planning to invest $100 million into developing one of the largest, I believe it's a water park and boutique hotel near the port. So we have projects that are in the works, projects that will be rolled out. But again, if we are hit with outside factors that basically deal a blow to our tourism-based economy, how beneficial are those projects? How stable is our economy? Are we prepared for the worst? These are the things we need to consider. We need to think about. We need to find solutions to. And what I recommend that we do is that we ensure as a community, as people, that we are not grasshoppers. All right? As stated earlier, a global recession is looming over our heads. Let's start being like the ants, not the grasshoppers, where we basically ensure that we start using the summer months to store up our grain, store up our goods. Because when winter comes, God knows what will happen. And I do hope that even some of the proposed projects, for example, the rebuilding of the library, which has been stalled for several years, even projects like that they are materialized, but it cannot just remain as a wish list or something that we just announce or speak of. We need visionary leaders. We need people with the ability to create more streams of revenue for this island outside of tourism, and even within tourism, diversify it. Because we had the home porting, which when it was mentioned was supposed to deliver upwards of $50 million, if I'm mistaken, to St. Maarten. But things have changed since then. And one of the things that has changed is the fact that we have had 4 ministers of TIAT within 3 years. TIAT being tourism, economy, aviation, transportation, and telecommunications. So we have had 4 leaders of one of the most important, and all the ministries are important, but that ministry is what is what brings in the money. So if you've had 4 different leaders, 4 people with different ideas and thoughts and visions and plans, for this island, then what exactly are we getting? And right now we can see that it ain't much. It's not much. So be sure to be very critical. Ask some serious questions. As elections get closer and your leaders start asking you for your vote and support, you want to know what are they doing? What are their plans to increase the quality of life for all people on St. Maarten and to ensure that the future of this island remains bright. So with that, thank you so much for joining me on today's episode number 7. We are going strong and got a whole lot more coming to you. Thank you so much once again. God bless you. And be sure to like, subscribe, follow on Facebook, YouTube, and do all that cool, fun social media stuff. And share it. Share it with some persons because I believe that this is a very crucial message. God bless you and take care.